Hello students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, Hyderabad. Today we will be discussing Sociology graduation subject. As part of BA second year, third semester, we have a block called Understanding Social Issues. Under this, we will be discussing illiteracy, poverty, unemployment, child labor and bonded labor. Today in detail we will discuss all these issues to understand and also to equip the knowledge to attempt your exams very well. Now we will go in detail one by one. Now I will start with illiteracy and poverty. Now how to understand this illiteracy? Let us go to the definition. Illiteracy is a state where one is unable to read and write, and means a person who is not able to read or not able to write, we call it as a illiterate. In the simplest form, it can be defined as lack of any or sufficient education. Means if a person do not have any education, we call him or her as a illiterate. Illiteracy can also mean ignorance or lack of knowledge on a particular or specific subject. For example, a person may have gone to a school, but he does not know how to operate a computer, then we call him as a computer illiterate. So illiterate is such a phenomena where a person do not have a basic education like read and write. Now let us go into detail about this literacy and illiteracy levels in India. For example, when you look at this literacy in 1947, when we got in independence, the literacy was only 12%. But according to 2011 census, literacy was found to be 74.04%. Means there is a tremendous increase in literacy levels because of various programs taken by the government as well as non-governmental organization. We have got a rise in the literacy levels in India. And when we go into details about the male and female literacy rate also, you can see according to 2011 census, female literacy rate was 65% and the male literacy was 80%. Means among the gender also male literacy is high, it is around 80%. Now let us try to understand in detail about this literacy. As I mentioned, there is a vary between the literacy rates across in India, particularly in states as well as in regions. Kerala is the only state to achieve 100% literacy in India. And when you see or when you examine or assess the Kerala, the male literacy and the female literacy, the overall literacy is very high in Kerala across all states in the country. And also followed by, after the Kerala, we have Goa, Tripura, Mizoram and also Himachal Pradesh and Maharashtra and Sikkim. These are the states are showing very hike in literacy rates in our country. And when you see the lowest, means down the line you have the literacy rate is very poor in Bihar. For in Bihar, Odisha, these are the states which are showing very lowest literacy rate in India. And if you see the impact of this literacy in personal income, it is very vary. Mean a person who is illiterate is earning more, he is doing very good employment. There is a 30 to 40% difference in terms of earning. And one study also shown the income of a person who is illiterate is stagnant. Means the illiterate people's income, the moment he joined in the job and at the time of his retirement is also almost same, or there is no maximum growth in terms of earning. These are the things we need to understand. What are the reasons? Try to understand for this illiteracy, what are the causes, what are the reasons. Means the poverty. poverty is the one of the major reason for this illiteracy. Because of the poverty, the parents would not be able to send their children to basic school education or college education, so they are not able to access to that particular education. Because of that reason, illiteracy is prevail, means in India or underdeveloped country, the poverty is the main reason for the illiteracy. And the second one is also very important, is gender disparities. Means, for example, in many countries, men, particularly men, having a better reading and writing skills, and women, they do not have this reading and writing skills. So we can see the gender disparity. For example, on an average, the literacy gaps between adult men and women, in particularly in the Southwest Asia, is 70% versus 46%. In Arab states, particularly when you look at the Arab states, it is 73% versus 51%. And particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, it is 68% and 52%. Across the globe, when you see that the female literacy is very low. And age, particularly age is also one of the factor or one of the reason. When you look at the people 15 to 34 years age, they have a better literacy rate. But you know, when the people, when you see the 45 years above, the literacy rates are very poor. Then another important is geographical disparities. Means in rural areas, in tribal areas, the literacy is very low. Means there is no access to basic school education and basic adult education. That is the reason in rural areas and tribal areas, you know, the literacy is low. And limited resources. As I mentioned now, the opportunity, access to education is very less, whether it is formal education, whether it is informal education, it is less. This is the reason illiteracy is still prevail in India and other underdeveloped countries. And one more phenomena is that war. In certain countries where the war is taking place, due to this war, there is a lot of disturbance or disruption takes place, and schools and colleges are getting disturbed, and the literacy is getting affected. So this is very important to understand. Now let us get into poverty. Another most important unit is poverty. Now we will understand what this poverty is that. Now before that, we will have a very standard definition with regarding to poverty. Poverty may be defined as a social condition where people do not have financial means or resources to meet their basic standards of life that is acceptable to society, that is daily life, for example food, clothes and shelter. Because of this poverty, the people, the groups, and now we will discuss another topic is called poverty. Let us try to understand what poverty is mean. Poverty is defined as a social condition where individuals do not have financial means to meet the most basic standards of life that is acceptable by the society. So daily life, if they wanted to continue or establish their life, means they need, they need food, they need clothes, they need shelter. But because of this poverty, they are not able to meet their regular needs. Because of the poverty, you can see in the society there is a hunger, there is a malnutrition, and also there is a huge disease also. The disease burden is also there. For example, in poverty, there were 4 committees were constituted. For example, YK Alag committee, and also DT Lagdawala committee, and Suresh Tendulkar committee, and C Rangarajan committee. These committees thoroughly studied and gave different measurements to measure the poverty. For example, the first committee measured that 2400 calories of nutrition. Means, for example, in a rural area, if a person is not getting 2400 calories, as well as in urban areas, if they are not getting 2100 calories, then they are living below poverty line. But as the time has gone, the situation has been changed. Now when you look at in the C Rangarajan committee, he said that even not this intake of calories, he said that the basic needs, for example housing is important, sanitation is important, education is important. If they are not getting, in addition to their nutrition calories, they are treated in below poverty line. if you look at this poverty, across in India, for example, certain states are very good, means they do not have, the poverty is very less. For example, Punjab and Haryana are the developed states. They do not have poverty, they are less in poverty. For example, Bihar and Odisha, they have above 40% people living in below poverty line. And rural poverty, for example, across the rural areas in Odisha, the poverty is very high. In Madhya Pradesh, again, in urban poverty is also very high. As I mentioned, Punjab, poverty incidents are only little, 5 to 6% people living in poverty. And in Haryana is the second best, only when you look at the statistics, 8 to 10% are poverty. And Kerala, Andhra Pradesh and Punjab, these are some of the states among the best performing states in addressing the poverty, in reducing the poverty. Let us try to understand what are the causes for this poverty. Means there are, first one is climatic factors. For example, there are natural calamities are happening regularly in India. There are tsunamis are happening in India, and also, for example, earthquakes are happening, and there is no regular rainfall. These are some climatic factors where the people are drawn into the poverty. And another important is demographic factors. What are those? Means there is a huge population growth. When you look 70s, 80s, 90s, there is a huge population growth is still in some of the countries, in still some of the states like Bihar, Rajasthan, UP, the population growth is high. So these are leading to poverty. And size of the population, particularly the number of members in the family, is also reason for the poverty. And personal causes, means if there are people who are really lack of motivation to work or to get into the employment or any livelihood or self-employment. This is the reason the family got into the poverty. And also disease, the series of ill health also reason for the poverty. And economic causes, for example, low agriculture productivity. This is very, very important reason in India to become a poverty. And also unequal distribution of land. The small pockets of land, or the people are having land, they have big chunk of lands, and the people are having very little land. Majority of the people in India, they are having a little pockets of land. So this unequal distribution of land also leading majority of the population into poverty. And decline of village industries. Once upon a time in India, we had very good cottage industries where they are self-sufficient to work there on their products. But however, due to the decline of these village industries, the poverty has been increases. So we need to understand how this poverty need to be addressed. Poverty alleviation programs. The government has been implementing various programs to address this poverty. For example, wage employment programs, self-employment programs, food security programs, social security programs, and urban poverty alleviation programs. However, we need to work on that. The people need to be part of that so that we can end the poverty. And one more important thing is the government has been implementing various programs. For example, Jawhar Gram Samruddhi Yojana. This is the program where the rural infrastructure will be developed. For example, schools, Anganwadi centers, roads, and also electricity, like that. So to address the poverty, this kind of programs have been implemented. Another important program is National Old Age Pension Scheme. Means the people who are above 60 years, they will be given some pension. So to address the poverty, the government has launched this program. Another important program is National Maternity Benefit Scheme. Means for the mothers, the pregnant mothers, the government is supporting around 6,000 rupees to a pregnant mother in 3 installments. So this is to additional to take care of their health and to take care of the newborn baby. This program is there. Another important program is called Annapurna. Annapurna means if any person is there in the villages, nobody is there to take care of him. So the government is providing 10 kgs of free food grains. This program has been started in the year 1999 and 2000. Because of this, many people are getting benefited. Another important program is Integrated Rural Development Program. So, this is also an ambitious program to elevate poverty, providing income generated assets in rural areas. So, with this we need to understand that illiteracy as well as poverty are some of the social issues in India. How we are addressing that is very important. Thank you.